Hello, business finance students. This is Professor Hassey. It's our week 1 Business Finance 330 lecture video for this online class, this spring session number 2 of 2022. Again, my name is Rick Hassey. I will be doing these videos every Monday as a lecture video throughout the session this spring. I am speaking live and in color from Claremont, California, which is just a few miles from the Laverne campus. And our job is twofold this first week lecture. Number one is to encourage all of you to log into Blackboard and review our course and get up to speed with the material. As of this moment, only about half of our students registered for this class have yet to go on to Blackboard. Please remember to check your emails for emails that I send you, announcements of introduction videos and all kinds of things. You need to check your emails regularly throughout this spring session to stay up to speed with this online class. So I'd like you all to log into Blackboard and begin to check out your business finance class. Remember, as you all know, this is an 8-week class. If you let it slide for 1 week or so, you can get behind, and then it's all kinds of troubles. We have 1 graded work this week to do, and we have some reading to do, but the main objective of this first week is to get comfortable with the Blackboard and asynchronous setup of this class. What does asynchronous mean? You are not required to be with me to learn the material. It's an online class. It is your responsibility to review the videos, look at the Blackboard, do the assignments. Now, to aid you in all this, I produce a lecture video every Monday. We have student hours every Wednesday evening from 6 to 8 o'clock, which you have the link, the Zoom link in Blackboard and on your syllabus. Those are optional student hours where you can come online and ask me questions, introduce yourself to me, anything that you'd like to do to come online and get to know me, get to know the material, ask questions about the graded work. That is every Wednesday evening from 6 to 8 o'clock. And then I have a final video of the week that's posted every Friday afternoon, which is our update video for the week, where I review the problems that were mentioned in my lecture. And you can see them right here, problems in chapters 1 and 2. Those are not graded assignments. You don't have to turn them in, but they do get you prepared for the material that we're going over from those chapters. So I review those problems every Friday and bring up any other additional topics that crop up during the first week. Every week I post an agenda for the week. I'll show you where that is in Blackboard. This is what we're going to be accomplishing this week. Next week we go to chapters 3 and 4 and we move forward into our class. So again, the important thing of this week is to get up to speed with the course, understand the material. I know you've probably all have taken online courses before. Each professor has their own ways of doing things. I can assure you my way isn't better than anybody else's, but in my way, you are never lacking information, never lacking a reply from me for any questions or concerns, and you're never lacking understanding what is going on in the course by these variety of videos, 2 a week, plus the student hours every Wednesday when you can come and ask questions. So we begin our studies and we begin our work. I hope you've had a chance to read the syllabus that I have provided you, I sent you, and also it's located in Blackboard. Download that, get to know where it is, what it is. Here's all the information you need to know about our class. Our course week is from Monday through Sunday. All work is due Sunday evening. We go through Sunday, May 29th, that's 8 weeks. Our student office hours are every Wednesday from 6 to 8. Again, those are optional, but they're a place where you know that the professor will always be every week to answer your questions. Here's the link the Zoom link to those student hours every Wednesday. You just click on that link and you'll find me there. We'll be using Blackboard naturally. I have a YouTube channel for this class where a lot of additional videos and course lectures are recorded. So hopefully you'll be able to understand that and to be able to go to that YouTube site, which is free. How shocking with Laverne, which is free, so you can have a good place to review videos and get up to speed about any of the discussions going on in our class. I have a Twitter site called Laverne Finance, which posts information about finance, the finance world. And naturally, we'll be using a lot of different sources like the Wall Street Journal and a variety of things like that. It goes over the course description, talks about our textbook, which is mandatory for this class, the 10th edition of Fundamentals of Corporate Finance. These are where you'll find the practice review problems, which get you prepared for our assignments and examinations. Strongly urge you to get our textbook. We'll be using Yahoo Finance quite a bit in our class to do our portfolio work and do any research that we do. Here's our grading system. I have changed this since my original syllabus that I sent you a week ago. I have changed this a little bit. I have dropped the case paper for our class and added a final examination. No case paper, but a final, excuse me, examination. So we have 4 assignments. We have the Blackboard discussion forum, which is this week. We have the midterm examination, which is in week 4 of our class. And we have the final examination, which is cumulative, which is the final week of our class. Here's an explanation of all those materials. Good idea to review this. Some academic honesty issues. This is an online class. You're doing all your work outside of a classroom, so there are some academic honesty issues involved here. Whenever you do your work in this class, be it an assignment, be an examination, if you use something that does not come from your head, brain, mind, you have to reference it. If you reference it, we'll have no problems. That includes asking Professor Assey or asking a fellow student about a question about some work that you're doing in this class for a grade. If you ask somebody about that and they help you, no problem. I don't have an issue with that, but you have to reference it in your work material. Some services and values and explanations. This is our public relations gimmick for this syllabus, talking about our goals of the university. Some links and help if you need it. Counseling, student health, campus safety, academic services. Wait a minute, Mr. Hassey, I'm an online student. What do I need to do with student health services or campus safety or whatever? Well, if you have any issues, even at home, that you need to discuss with anybody, click on these links and they can help you. Any issues, technology, health, feeling safe, academic, click on these links and they can help you. You are just as much of a student at the University of Laverne as you are if you were a student living in a housing unit and going to the dining hall and being on campus. You are the same type of student and you have the same services available to you. And then we get into the course schedule. And these, I strongly urge you to print out and have available. It gives you the key dates of our class, when graded work is due, how much that grade is worth of the course, and a basic timeline to our course. So please note that. Notice this week 1, we have a student introduction and portfolio posting due next Sunday. It's 10% of your course grade. And then a little bit more detailed background of our class. What is going to be part of my lecture videos? What is going to be part of your work outside of my lectures? So make sure you're familiar with this as well. If it's in yellow, it's graded work. So please look at the syllabus, get to know it. If you have any questions or concerns about your time management, You'll be on vacation, you have work, family issues, just let me know. We'll work around it and make sure everything goes fine. Here's our Blackboard site. And please, this is how you learn in this class. We're not sitting in a classroom. We're not face-to-face. It's up to you. The information is there. I have provided it all. Please take advantage of it. And this course is a breeze. If you don't stay on top of the material in this class, it's going to be tough. We have a lot of material to go to cover in 8 weeks. And if you get behind, it makes it more difficult. I have the course set up in a variety of ways here on the left-hand side of your Blackboard site. I have course announcements. Whenever I send you an email, whenever I send out an announcement, it's also posted to this course announcements. One of the first things you should do when you log into Blackboard is go to those course announcements and make sure you're up to date on the latest material that I have provided for you. This is our introduction video of last Friday, April 1st, where I posted an introduction video to the class. This is the email introducing the course last Monday, March 28th, that I sent you, talking about the introduction to the course. So whenever I send an email or post an announcement, it's posted here as well as your email. This should be the first area you check. The next folder is the course syllabus, schedule, and you've already seen these. They're in your syllabus, but here you can just come to this file folder and see them right off the bat without having to print out or dig up your syllabus. Here's my original course introduction video. I strongly urge all of you, especially those logging into the Blackboard for the very first time this week, to watch this video. Here's our course schedule in a printed out format. And here it is already there that you can see. Then I have the next file folder called Zoom and YouTube links. Whenever I do a video, like I'm doing a video now, I'm recording it. It's a course lecture. I will post the link to this Zoom and YouTube links. It'll also be located in our YouTube site, and it'll also be linked to the particular week that I'm talking about. Here's our student hours link again. Here's my introduction video again. Here's our student discussion forum. Two things go on here. Number one, if you have any questions for this particular week during the course of this study of this week, Monday through Sunday, you can post them to this student question file folder right here. Open up the file folder, create a thread, type in the subject, help, and I will post your question and I will help you and respond back to you. This course discussion folder is for all students to see. So if you do a video or do a discussion post saying help and ask some questions, all the rest of the students in our course will see that as well, which can be a help too, because they might even be able to help you or comment on it, or maybe they have the same problem. So post those. I look at those every morning and every night. If you have a question, post it there. And then here's our first week graded assignment, where I'm asking you to create a post, tell me a little bit about yourself, and also to create a spreadsheet for this class. The spreadsheet is a portfolio of stocks that you are to select this week, price out on Friday of this week, April 8th, and create a portfolio. I have a PDF version of that portfolio right here that you can look at. And also later on in my lecture video, I'll be posting an Excel spreadsheet that you can fill out and complete in that same PDF format. But you're going to post a thread explaining or introducing yourself to the class. Then you're going to post a thread explaining to me why you picked the stocks in your portfolio, and link or attach your spreadsheet file to that posting. This is all due next Sunday by midnight, April 10th. And it's for 10% of your grade. It's a good way to get off on a good start. So we'll talk more about that in a little bit in my lecture. Then we have the weekly file folders. Each week is set up with a couple of things. Number one, right off the bat, I tell you the learning assignments for the week. Kind of a checklist of what you should do if you want to get an A in this class. If you don't want to get an A, then you can blow off some of this stuff. But these are the learning assignments for this week. The lecture video, which you're watching right now. Chapters 1 and 2 you should read. There's some review problems from chapters 1 and 2 which highlight the material of those chapters. Again, those are not for an assignment. They're not for a grade. They're just review, and I will discuss these every Friday in my weekend or update video. And then the graded work for the week will always be highlighted. This week, the graded work is what we just talked about. Your student bio and portfolio file, which is due Sunday, April 10th. Every week, when you click onto the week, you'll see these learning assignments. And you should review this work during the course of the week. The graded work is due by Sunday. Every week is set up like that. And then you click on the week 1 folder or the week folder, and then it opens up again. There's a list of the learning assignments. Here's the agenda that I showed you in the very first part of class, which talks about our agendas and to-dos of this week. A quick video defining finance. Click on this watch video and you can watch it right here. This video is also located in our YouTube playlist. And then an introduction to the week. Some brief definitions of some key terms. And then the discussions of our chapters. You don't have time to read the chapters every week? Well, you can go to these. This is my review of the chapters and the material with a PowerPoint going over the key points of the chapter. So if you don't have time to manage all this work, which is understandable, you can take a little bit of a shortcut by looking at my review of the chapters in the Blackboard and also downloading the PowerPoint for each chapter and get a quick review of the chapter key points of the week. This is set up every week. After today, I will post the review problems, solutions, and information about the review problems, but I'll give you a couple days to look those over, and I'll post them later on in the week in preparation for my Friday update video. So this is done every week and set up. Naturally, I modify this as we move along, but every week is set up throughout the course. But the key thing for you is to make sure you understand the learning assignments for the week, what you need to do or look at. And if there's any graded work to do, get that done by Sunday. All the work is posted to Blackboard. If you post it after midnight on Sunday, you'll be blocked out. You won't be able to do it. So make sure you hit that deadline. Secondly, I will not accept any material via email. If you're late in your posting or frustrated with Blackboard, let me know. We'll help you. But all work needs to be posted to Blackboard either for this week in the discussion forum or in the assignments file folder that will be created, as you'll see, after next week. Everything is through Blackboard, not email. Email is used as answering questions of me, showing concerns, what you need, or if you need any help or have questions. That's what email's for. Email is not for posting graded work. That's why we have Blackboard. So if you're having concerns or having difficulties with passwords or anything concerning Blackboard, be sure you either ask me or see me or contact your academic advisor or contact the help desk for Blackboard. There are people there to help you. but you got to get on top of that right away. That's why the earlier you get into Blackboard this week, the better, because some of you might have password problems, might have other problems associated with Blackboard. And if you need help, get that taken care of as soon as possible. So there's the infrastructure of our class. That's the makeup of our class. You now have the syllabus. You now have the Blackboard. You now have some information about the work week by week. You now have videos. You now have all the information you need. Now your job is to manage your time, plan your schedule accordingly to make sure you get the graded work done every Sunday, but also review the material, look at the videos, ask any questions of me in the student hours on Wednesday. If you can't attend the student hours, send me an email, send me a message, and I will answer it in that session. Okay, with that infrastructure being done, now let's get to our topics for this week, number 1. Now let's first of all tackle the graded work we have to do this week, and that's creating a portfolio. One of the topics of corporate finance is naturally understanding where money comes from for companies. Capital comes from 3 sources for a corporation. You can borrow it, you can issue stock or equity, or you can make a profit. 3 ways that you can legally obtain capital to purchase assets to run your business. And that's what business finance is all about. How you get this capital, how you manage it, how you invest it. The bottom line of business finance is to maximize shareholder value. How you maximize shareholder value is making sure the people who invest in you get a return on their investment. If you keep providing that, they'll keep investing in you and providing capital so your business can grow and compete. So one of the aspects of this is how do investments work in the financial markets? That's what chapter 2 is all about this week, the financial markets. Well, to understand these financial markets, we're going to be doing an exercise throughout our course where you will select up to 5 publicly traded corporations, publicly traded in the United States on the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ exchange. Pick up to 5 companies. Notice here in my sample, I've picked 4. You can pick as little as 1. And I give you a $100,000 amount to invest in. So as you can see, I've gone ahead and I've selected my companies for this session: Apple, Ford, General Electric, and Walt Disney Company. And I've listed the ticker symbol, the symbol that it's represented on the exchange. I've indicated the exchange that stock is traded on, the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange. I have put the date down as this Friday, April 8th, at the close of the market. That's when you're going to price out your stock. You're going to determine its value in the market by going to the stock exchange on Friday after 1 o'clock. It can be over this weekend, and get the closing stock price of this Friday. Remember, the financial markets are all out of New York. They open up at 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, and they close at 1 p.m. Pacific time. That's 9:30 and 4 o'clock in New York. So at the close of the market on Friday, you get the values of your stock. And then you determine how much money you're going to be investing of your $100,000 in that portfolio. This will drive how many shares you purchase. Once you find the price on Friday, then you divide this number into the amount that you're investing, and you get the number of shares that you're purchasing on Friday. And this will stay the same throughout the class. You only have one time to buy. You can't, oh, this was a bad choice, I'm going to pick a new one in a couple weeks. Can't do that. You're stuck with whatever stocks you pick, 1 through 5, in this week. And then you also are to track the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ indexes. These are the market indexes. They're talked about in chapter 2. These first few weeks in Blackboard, I give definitions of these markets. The S&P 500 is defined this week in week 1. The Dow is next week. The NASDAQ is in week 3. These are the indexes that you gauge the market. We'll talk more about that later. So let's walk through this. Let's say it's Friday, April 8th. So I'm going to go to where can I find the stock price of my companies? Well, let's do this. Hey, there I am. Now you got a good shot of me. So let's go to my internet browser and look up Yahoo Finance. Here's Yahoo Finance, which is a popular vehicle to look up financial information. Google Finance is another one. There's a wide variety of ones. I like Yahoo Finance. It's pretty neat, quick, and easy. So I go to Yahoo Finance, and let's say today is Friday, but it's really Monday, and we're going to get the closing prices of Monday, which we cannot use, but I'm going to use this as an example. And I just go into the search window and type in Apple, one of my companies. And right up front, there's the ticker symbol. There's the company, Apple Computer, or Apple Incorporated. I click on that, and it gives me the closing price right here. At close, 4 p.m. today, $178.44. That's the closing price in the market today of Apple stock. So I go to my portfolio, and I type in my price, 178.44. Now let's go to the next company, Ford Motor Company. I type in Ford. I don't know why I picked Ford. That could be a dog with fleas, but there it is right there. Ford Motor Company. Ticker symbol is F. Click on that. Ford closed today at a whopping $16.66. So let's type in 1666 to our portfolio and go back to Yahoo Finance. And now let's look up my third company, General Electric, which a company has been around a long time, since the 1880s. General Electric Company. And here comes General Electric. As you can see, it closed today, and this could be like Friday, $92.02. That's the closing price today. So there's that. And now finally, old, reliable, the Disney Company. I like investing in Mickey Mouse. So Walt Disney Company, there it is right there, DIS. $138.58. Not too difficult, pretty easy. Now I also need to get the index closing prices of today. And fortunately, right on the front page, those prices are right here. The Dow closed today at 34,921.88. 34,921.88. The S&P 500 closed at 4582.64. 4582.64. And the NASDAQ closed today at 14,532.55. 14,532.55. So that's what we can use Yahoo Finance and any other Google Finance, anything, but see how simple that was to get the closing prices of our portfolio and the index prices here. Now, let's say you come on Saturday or Sunday and you wait till Sunday to do this work. You can still find these prices. If you're going to, again, I'll type in Ford again. And let's say it's Saturday or Sunday, a couple days after the close, you can just go to historical data right there. and it'll give all the prices going back in time. And it'll give you the Friday, April 8th price where you go to close, and that's the price that you want. So you can get this data by going to historical data and get, if you're a couple days after the fact, you can still get that date close by going to that historical data. Another little tip there. Okay, so now I've got the prices in my portfolio that I'm doing. And there they are right there. So let's say those are the closing prices on Friday, April 8th. I've typed them into my portfolio. And now I have to do, and this is what tells me about your ability to use and do a spreadsheet. Now you have to do a little calculation. You have to determine the number of shares that you're purchasing on this date. And that requires a calculation by dividing the share price into the amount you're investing. This will always be $100,000. So here I'm going to take equals this cell, which is G6, and I'm going to do a backslash and divide it by E6. I just put in a formula. It's taking $25,000 and dividing it by $178.44. I hit enter, 140 shares. Now, it's not that easy usually, because usually you'll get a number like this. All I want you to do is give me a whole number there. So you go up to where it says here, number, and you can just click this arrow to decrease the decimal to the whole number. And that's what I want to see. I don't need to see decimals. I want to see, oh, you bought 140 shares on this date. Now, this is the neat thing about spreadsheets. Now, all you need to do is grab the corner of this box and drag it down, and it'll do the calculation automatically for you. How about that? Let's try that again. So I did the initial formula, taking 25,000 and dividing it by my stock price of Friday, assuming, and that's equals G6 slash divided by E6, and I got 140 because I rounded the decimal to the nearest whole number. And so now I want to make the same formula in these three lines, taking Ford 1666 and dividing to how much I allocated, 25,000, and so on. So I just grab this little corner here, slide it down, and it does my information for me. So what you need to do now is just put your name on the sheet, save the file, and post that file, attaching it to your discussion forum post of your bio and your portfolio. And don't forget a quick 1 or 2 sentences on why you picked the companies you picked. And then at the same time, you record the values of the Dow, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ, which help you measure your performance to the overall market. Note the definitions in week 1 of the S&P 500, week 2 of Dow, and week 3 of the NASDAQ. That'll help you. And now you are set up to track these. Now, during the rest of our class, all we will do is update these prices in the market on a variety of a couple of dates and revalue our portfolio by taking the new prices and multiplying it by our original shares that we purchased to get a new value. And that's how this works. And this is going to serve 2 purposes or 3 purposes. 1, so you can understand and get to know the markets. 2, you can understand and get to know how to keep track of this in a spreadsheet, which is very important for business study. And 3, a selfish reason. The student over the course of the next 8 weeks that has the greatest capital gain, in other words, their portfolio goes up the most compared to any other student in our class, will we get the honor of being the Wolf of Wall Street of Business 330 Finance for the spring of 2022. And with that award, you'll get a Starbucks gift card and a gift from the University of Laverne bookstore. How about that? So there's some alternative motives here besides learning about the markets and learning about spreadsheets. It's making, providing, and hopefully making a little bit of a reward or a contest of who's going to be our Wolf of Wall Street, the student that has the best capital gain over 8 weeks. So that'll be kind of fun to track that. But also more important, it's good to understand how this all works. So I'm now going to erase these values and erase the formulas and erase that. And now I'm going to save this and post it with this video in Blackboard. And now you have a template to adjust and add in your companies. Now you can maybe make one, you can go as many as 5, put in this information and fill out the portfolio. And now you do the work to post by next Sunday. The spreadsheet's here, the template's here, but you got to put in the prices, the formulas to begin your study. Okay, so there's that. Good luck. 10% of your grade, by the way. Now, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, you have a YouTube playlist for this class, which is accumulation of all the videos associated with this business finance class in one location. You can click on the link in Blackboard and go to the YouTube playlist for Business 330 Finance Online, Spring 2, 2022. And in this site will be all the recordings of our lectures, all the recordings of our weekend update lectures, all the videos associated with this class. Now, the most important ones, I guess you could say, are located already embedded in your weekly Blackboard listings, but this is an accumulation of where they all are. So I'm going to show you a video now from this playlist, and you have access to this playlist anytime you want, about the role of the Chief Financial Officer in American corporation, what they do. Because what they do is the definition of business finance. So let's watch this video.
Google Fi, a phone plan by Google. Save up to $400 when you join or add a line. With Fi, you'll get end-to-end encryption for
to monitor and interpret the business's financial information. Finance, in its broadest sense, has become the driving force in U.S. corporations. Gary Coughlin is the Senior Vice President of Finance and Chief Financial Officer for Abbott Laboratories. Abbott is among the world's largest and most successful corporations, with more than 56,000 employees, a presence in approximately 130 countries, and worldwide sales of around $12.5 billion. Although no single person is responsible for all the financial decisions, the CFO is charged with the majority of these responsibilities. Top management is continuously involved in financial decisions, as are people in every department of the company. The Chief Financial Officer, or CFO, leads the finance department, and the key financial officers report to the CFO. The Treasurer and the Controller are next in the chain of command. The Treasurer raises funds and manages the company's capital structure, and the Controller manages budgeting and accounting. While auditing is often part of the Controller's responsibilities, at Abbott, audit is a separate function with an audit vice president reporting to the CFO. The CFO is deeply involved in financial policy making and corporate planning. Often the CFO will have general managerial responsibilities beyond strictly financial issues and may also be a member of the board of directors, although Mr. Coughlin is not on the Abbott board. The CFO may take on operating and strategic responsibilities, but those duties grow out of what remains the core of the job, maintaining the corporation's financial strength and maximizing shareholder value.
Well, the basic role of CFO is changed over time, but I mean essentially have the key issues of maintaining the financial value of the firm and maximizing shareholder value. I mean those have always kind of been the preeminent activities that the CFO gets involved in. But as time has changed, you become more of a partner with the operating management, whether it be the CEO or the division management. So the CFO's responsibilities are broadened into the areas like strategy and change initiatives. Okay, and examples would be you might be called upon to champion a growth initiative or some other new thing or cultural change, such as how would you do total quality management in the organization, or other such strategies as how is e-commerce going to affect the business. So I mean you get into those kind of activities, which in years past you wouldn't have. You'd been mostly into the financial, just kind of maintain a balance sheet, an income statement, and so on. So even though that becomes the financial stewardship becomes, is still the foundation of the job. It's just become much broader.
One of Mr. Coughlin's most important responsibilities is communicating financial information. He is accountable to the board of directors to be an independent advisor and to provide correct, detailed financial information. Investment analysts and shareholders also rely on the CFO to provide accurate financial data.
Generally, in most major corporations, the CFO is one of the primary interfaces along with the investor relations department with the investment community. And the investment community means, in most cases, both the sell-side analysts, those people who write research on your corporation, as well as buy-side analysts, who represent the major institutions who invest in your stock. And then also you have conferences for individual investors. So essentially, the CFO is kind of the one who oversees that function. And what the key job is you have to make sure that you have the right information out there. Today's markets are very volatile, and you can see if you miss your estimate by a penny, stocks can go down 5 to 10%. And so there's great scrutiny on quarterly earnings in the United States and how that impacts your stock price. So the CFO has to make sure that you get the right expectations out there, and then they have the most valid or available information that is not proprietary and can be disclosed, so that the investors can make the appropriate decision.
Financial markets are markets and
So there's a short but sweet video of explaining what a chief financial officer does or a finance person does in a corporation. Maximize shareholder value. Investing in assets that produce a greater return. A return in dollars, profits, cash flow, a return in increased market share against your competitors, positive growth of a company. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way. Sometimes there's difficulties, economic difficulties, market difficulties, risk difficulties. These are all things we'll talk about in this class. Here's a video, or here's a PowerPoint to introduce the course this week in week 1 that talks about chapters 1 and 2. And let's walk through this PowerPoint now. Corporate finance is important to management because the knowledge of capital budgeting, capital structure, and working capital provides for effective decision-making if the corporation is to maximize profits and stay competitive for future success. One of the 3 key areas of study in this class over the next 8 weeks is capital budgeting, capital structure, and working capital. These first couple weeks of the class, we go over the details or the information you need to learn about these 3 things. What's a financial statement? What's a balance sheet? What are the financial markets? What's the time value? How to calculate present value, future value? All skills needed to study finance. Once we get done with that, then we concentrate in the second half of our class on capital budgeting, capital structure, and working capital. There are 3 finance principles: the investment principle, the financing decision, and the dividend decision. We want to invest in assets that have a greater return than the cost it took us to get those assets. What is the cost of an asset? What you pay for them, plus if you had to borrow any money or take common stock, what's it cost to pay back that money in addition to that? That's called the hurdle rate. That's called the cost of capital. That's called opportunity cost. Your investment wants to earn a return over all those costs. Profit. The financing decision is where do you get the money to invest in that investment? Remember I said earlier, capital in a corporation comes from three areas: the borrowing of money, the issuance of equity, and the making of a profit. Well, if you're not making much profit, that puts a lot of pressure on debt and equity financing. That's called the financing decision. And then once you invest in the asset and the asset begins to make a return on the investment, how do you decide where that money goes? Naturally, if you're financing the asset with borrowed money, you got to pay the money back with interest. But if you're financing the asset with equity, well, you have an option of paying dividends or not, hanging on to that money, reinvesting it back into the company. That's called retained earnings. Those are the three key finance principles. There are three types of organizations in finance or in any business: proprietorships, partnerships, corporation. A proprietorship is one owner, an individual, a couple. A partnership is a group of individuals putting together a company. A corporation is what we'll be studying in this class, is a company or an organization that has the separate from the managers and the owners. A partnership and a sole proprietorship, the owners are the managers. In a corporation, that doesn't happen. The managers work for the shareholders, the owners. That's a corporation. A corporation has limited liability, meaning if something happens, you cannot sue the owners of a company. You can sue the assets of the corporation, but you cannot sue the owners, shareholders, the bankers. But in a partnership and a sole proprietorship, you can sue the individual owners and managers of the company. That's why in the last few years, last 15, 10 years, many doctor offices, insurance companies, accounting firms, law firms have become LLCs, limited liability corporations. They're no longer partnerships or proprietorships, because if they get sued, the owners cannot be sued in a corporation. In a partnership or a sole proprietorship, ownership is liable. In a corporation, that's not the case. So let's, in your chapter 1, learn about and understand about especially the definition of a corporation, because we'll be studying corporate finance throughout this class. And what's the purpose of issuing debt, stock, capital? Is to grow. Grow, because if you don't grow, you will not be able to compete with other competitors in your industry and in your markets. You have to compete. You have to grow to meet the needs of your investors. If I buy Apple Computer today and it stays the same price for the next 10 years, I'm going to be a little bit mad. I'm anticipating Apple to grow 5, 10, 15% a year. Why? Because they're going to be growing. They're going to be investing in new products, new markets. They're going to be growing. That's why I bought Apple Computer. If they don't grow every year, the heck with them. You maximize shareholder value through growth. Growth is funded by capital. But also there's an interesting development in the last 5, 10, 15 years in finance. What are the true management objectives of a corporation? Yes, as it says right up here, it's to maximize shareholder profits, make money. Well, here's a manager of a company jumping up and down because he's trying to find out, well, what do I need to maximize shareholder value? What, as a manager of this business, is my primary responsibility? Make money? Or should I treat my employees fairly? Should I make ethical decisions? Do I have a responsibility to society? Are my products polluting the air and the environment? One of the big issues now in corporate management is sustainability, giving back to your community, treating women and male employees equally. You don't do that, you're going to have some upset shareholders, upset investors, upset employees. Are you socially, economically responsible in your business? That's a very important thing now. Not only just making money, but doing it the right way. Some companies do this very well, some companies do not. When we talk about the financing of a company, where the money comes from, remember I said earlier, it's a combination of debt, equity, and profits. That determines the cost of capital. Another way of talking about this, and we'll look at this in about 3 weeks, is the weighted average cost of capital. And I looked this up prior to my lecture this morning. Right now, Apple Computer, the current cost of capital for Apple Computer is about 8%. The combination of their debt and their equity positions, stockholders, is costing them about 8%. That's their WACC. We'll learn how to calculate that formula in the weeks ahead because that's very important. Why? Well, if I know it's costing me 8%, I better make 9%, 10%, 12% off my capital investments. Because if I don't, I'm losing money. That's the hurdle rate. That's the opportunity cost. That's the cost of capital. Also, we're going to talk about conditions that also affect money, and this is what Chapter 2 is about. Economic and international conditions. It's constantly changing. The war going on in the Ukraine now. The status of our relationships with China. Our relationships with our neighbors, Canada and Mexico. Our relationships with our European partners. These constantly change due to politics, due to change in leadership, due to social issues. How does that affect my company in our way of doing business? Another very important aspect of understanding financial management. And the markets that we go out and get our capital and make our stock available in the markets. Mainly a company issues stock in the primary and secondary public markets. The primary public market is the initial issuance of stock in your company. Where you and I buy stock, like we're buying in our portfolio this week, that's in the secondary markets. The stock has already been issued. The company has already received their money. Now it's the investors who own that stock buying and selling within the market when they need to be liquid. That's the secondary markets. You are buying your stock in your companies in the portfolio in the secondary market. That's what the New York Stock Exchange is all about. But also you could go on Shark Tank. I'm sure some of you have watched the TV show Shark Tank. That's the private market, private ownership, private investment. Many people call that hedge funds, venture capital, private equity. So you can also invest privately in some companies. But in our course, our primary study is on the public markets and the public ownership of stock. The physical location of these stock exchanges are mainly in New York City, but there are exchanges in Chicago, Tokyo, Beijing, Qatar, all around the world. In our class, we're concerned only with the New York Stock Exchange. But also you can buy stock digitally, traded over the counter. And that's what the NASDAQ exchange is all about. There it is, the $100 bill. It all evolves around that. How quickly a company can turn $100 into $200. How quickly an investor can turn $100 into $200. That's what corporate finance is all about, maximizing money, capital. And one of the ways of determining this are key financial indicators. I want you to get to know these 9 indicators throughout our class. We're going to be referring to them quite a bit, especially the top 3. They're part of your portfolio. The Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ. That's the equity markets in America. Notice how they've gone significantly down since December of last year. The markets have hit a little bit of a downswing. Why? Look at the next number, the United States Treasury yield. It's gone from 1.5 to 2.4. Inflation. The inflation rates have increased. Money has become more expensive. People are pulling their money out of the stock markets and investing in higher yielding securities in credit. Inflation. That's why the markets are down. Another reason for inflation, look at crude oil. Anybody buy gas lately? $75 a barrel for oil in December, $99 as of last Friday. And it's been over 100 in some of those times. Gold. Gold is what you call a hedge. You buy gold when you don't want to invest in anything else. Gold is where people invest in safety. So the top 3 are the equity markets in America. The 4th is the credit or debt markets in America. And the next 2, crude oil and gold, are the commodity markets, 2 leading commodity indicators. And the next 3 are currency. The euro, the Chinese yuan, and the Japanese yen. And as many of you know, you probably have family or relatives or friends in other parts of the world. Money has a different value in other parts of the world than it does here. And if I'm doing business and running a company in other parts of the world, I have to be aware of the value of my money compared to the money in that particular country. The 3 leading currencies in relationship to the United States dollar are the euro, the Chinese yuan, and the Japanese yen. So we're going to talk about all these indicators throughout our course. As Ben Franklin is the $100 bill in America, Mao Zedong is the $100 Chinese value in China. 2 distinct cultures and societies, but 2 competitors, partners, adversaries, if you like, in the world of finance. And what one does influences the other. We'll talk about that in our class. So that's a beginning of our course this spring. Again, my name's Rick Hassey. I look forward to working with you all this session. You've seen the material, you've seen the infrastructure, you know how to get a hold of me. You have an assignment due this week. I will be back with you on Friday of this week with an update video. I will be available this Wednesday, every Wednesday at 6 o'clock via Zoom. If you have any questions, want to come on and just introduce yourself, say hi. But you're going to be also doing that in your course discussion posting this week, giving a little bio about yourself and picking up portfolio. If you have any questions on the portfolio, Wednesday night would be a good time to come with those questions before you start putting it together. But I will post the spreadsheet template to this video file that I'm putting together this Monday afternoon. And I need a haircut. And I need to trim my mustache. But besides that, good luck. Looking forward to working with you every week now for the next 8 weeks. Some of you might get sick of me. Some of you might enjoy this as we move along through the world of finance. It's going to be a pleasure working with you all. So with that, I'll bid adieu until later on this week. Enjoy, and we'll see you down the road. Adios.